So good morning, everybody. We have an amazing panel, and as we are kind of running a little short of time, I'll try and keep it down to maybe overall 40 minutes, including Q&A. And I'll tell you how we chose this panel, because it's very handcrafted. Nitin, to my mind, is my hero in technology. So there is nothing he doesn't know about AI, and I'm sure he will tell me 15 things I said wrong in the last 20 minutes. Okay, but Nitin is the CTO and the Deputy Managing Director of State Bank of India. And I am privileged to know him because I was on the board of State Bank when he joined the company. And the kind of transformation we've seen, you're all seeing the transformation in the numbers of State Bank of India. But a lot of this can be credited to the work that Nitin and his team have done in technology. And Varun, of course, is the CIO. And I want to go and ask him classic CIO questions, if you don't mind. Saying, what are we really seeing in terms of integrating technology with the processes of the organization, which I was talking about. And Vijay is an entrepreneur. And he himself has been a CEO for many years, recently turned entrepreneur, and is building some really cool stuff in terms of helping human resources to leverage AI, leverage bots, and make stuff happen. So I think we'll take, the way I'm going to conduct this, we'll ask each one of them to speak for 5 to 7 minutes, and what they do, how do they use AI, or how do their organization use AI, and what benefits and what concerns they have about the use of AI. And of course, Vijay will talk more about what he's doing in technology. And then we'll have a quick discussion and throw it to the panel. So feel free to ask questions, because the basic purpose here is to interact with you. So Nitin, over to you, sir.
Thank you. Thanks very much for the introduction. I think in SBI, you of course know, but we've been practicing AI for over 10 years now in the traditional form, mostly the models, etc. In the last couple of years, I think we've tried to mainstream it. We've tried to make it a part of every conversation, every important decision that the bank needs to take, whether on the business side or even more importantly on the risk and fraud management side. And the view that we took, because we had an in-house, reasonably good in-house talent, was that we would try and build most of it ourselves to the extent that we can. But as we went into the whole generative AI phase, we realized that it is not going to be possible for us to keep building everything, especially the whole 5-layered AI stack that you spoke about in your presentation that the minister refers to. In our mind, there was a 4-layer stack, but of course, energy is now the 5th layer, which we had not kind of foreseen that. So there was a time when we started also believing that we should have our own LLM, because why should we continue to be dependent on the open source LLMs and keep fine-tuning them without any clarity about where the data is going to reside? On another track, we started to work very deeply with IIT Bombay. I had mentioned that in the last conference also here. And the most important outcome of that engagement has been a whole lot of research work. So a good number of nearly 24 research projects which are underway are giving us better and very, very rigorous academic insights into what we can potentially do with AI, which as practitioners we would tend to overlook sometimes. Just as we were trying to understand generative AI and we started experimenting with some of the deployments within the bank, and we deployed one of the largest knowledge instance using generative AI, which is meant for our about 250,000 employees. We realized that the world had already moved to agentic AI. So we again started fine-tuning our own roadmap in terms of what we should be doing with the bank. So where we are right now is that we have a very clear view that we do want to deploy an AI strategy in the bank, which is going to be built on the back of a AI stack. And the AI stack essentially has to complement what we already have in the enterprise architecture. It also has to embed itself into the many workflows, including every single thing that we do, including HR, of course. It has to supplement us on the knowledge side. It has to supplement on monitoring, forecasting, etc. But we are still very, very wary of letting it take its own decisions. So when we are looking at agentic AI, we are really looking at intelligent workflows, where there is a human in the loop or human on the loop, and the human is going to be supervising much of those interactions and outcomes. There are a few low-hanging fruits in any case, in terms of customer service, contact center, etc. So those I think are not very complicated to deploy. But the real journey for us is going to be in making sure that our own people are ready to consume AI. They're ready to sit alongside some agents which will augment their capacities. And certainly enough, maybe in future, once we have our own AI stack with the operating model also, we would be looking at thinking in terms of leaving some of these agents on an autonomous basis. Now, in all of that, the governance layer was equally important for us. So we did have a policy for responsible and ethical AI for a fairly long time, last 5 years, I would say. We kind of kept improving on that. And as we experiment with generative AI, we realized that you cannot run those as processes anymore. You have to automate the guardrails also. So now we've taken upon that challenge of making sure that the guardrails are equally automated in the code itself, and they don't throw out something which we would have otherwise missed as part of the process where a human looks at the model and says that whether this is a good output or a bad output. The code itself will decide and generate those kind of alerts for people to take a look at and examine. So that's really where we are right now.
Nitin, just to make it clearer, I mean, can you give us an example maybe of something that everybody understands, like loan processing or retail banking, where you said the human in the loop and AI are coexisting? So give us an example.
So let's take the example of, I would imagine a lot of HR professionals are there in the room. Let's say the process of screening profiles. Now that's an established model for the last 10 years. There is AI that's been used for screening. AI has also been used for interactions. AI has also been used for generating the kind of prompts in an interview. However, when you build something like this in a more traditional workflow, where let's say in a public sector workflow you have a certain set of processes you need to follow for screening as well as interviewing, for negotiation, etc. We don't expect people to come and take over those workflows as AI agents. We don't expect AI agents to take over those workflows, but we do expect that the people who will be running those workflows, let's say a group of 5 people is required to screen. You would just need one person to oversee an agent which is doing that screening for you. If you have a workflow which, in the same workflow, if let's say there is an interview process, and it's an AI-generated interview interaction, you can still have a human in the loop who's going to be overseeing that, though that is a little far for us because we don't have the operating model for things like those. But likewise, even in loan underwriting theoretically, and not just theoretically, it is available even right now, is that you can create a really nice end-to-end stitched agentic workflow, and you don't really need even humans in the loop, as long as it is within a certain set of guardrails. So there are, I think banking that way, pretty much everything that we do is a good place to try out agentic AI, starting with the lower risk categories.
Thanks, Nitin. I think that was very clear. Varun?
Yeah, hi. Good morning, everyone. So we are into affordable housing finance market. So in affordable housing finance market, we operate in tier 2 and tier 3 towns. Sometimes we go to even far tier 4 towns where people come from humble backgrounds and they're looking for a nice place to stay in a bigger city. So they require home loans and we provide them loans. So our business is quite a kind of a high touch kind of a business where a lot of manpower is required, which we also struggle a lot. How can we replace a lot of things with AI and all? Because obviously the maximum cost that comes is the manpower cost. And how do you use AI? And of course, as a matter of fact, whatever document processing, as we talk about reading bank account records, reading KYCs and all are like proven use cases nowadays. So all those things are proven. But what about underwriting, as Nitin was talking about? So our underwriting is little different, where we go to customers' houses. And the customers that come to us, they come from a place where they don't have a single source of income. They have multiple sources of income. So the father of the house would have a kirana shop in the house. The wife of the house would be doing some kind of household chores, some stitching work, etc. Or maybe some ladies are also teaching tuitions, taking tuitions. And there is some rental income coming from. So analyzing everything like that, yeah, computer vision and all in artificial intelligence, it's coming, but taking it to the level where you capture the involuntary inputs that are coming when you're talking to the customer is little hard at this point of time, because you need some emotional intelligence, you need to understand the culture of the country. So these are the kind of challenges that we are working with these days. And at the same time, when the credit happens, underwriting happens, collection also happens. So collection also, our customer is not a kind of a customer who would maintain a bank balance and we just present a mandate and we get the money. So that's a different, difficult kind of a business. Again, a high-touch business where you go and you take the money and you understand, okay, there's a seasonality in the crop. We know that money would come today or after 6 months if the rains have not happened. Yeah, AI helps with the external data. It helps in collating the data and showing you the early warning signals and all. But then once you go and meet the customer, so then only you realize what the real challenge is, how many external factors and internal factors. So, I mean, if we were talking about balancing, so how much human is important, and AI is important too, to create this entire ecosystem. And that's all we are doing. And I'll talk more. Are we going to talk more on the topic? Then I'll. Okay, I can talk a little more. So what happens in a personal discussion when we are going and meeting the customer and understanding how the customer is earning. So there are typically, I would say, 30 to 40 types of professions in India who earn, like there are small businesses, people who do small kinds of jobs. So we have listed all those 40, 50 types of occupations and professions in India. And basis on that, we've created some kind of a question bank. So AI is helping us showing the questions on the screen so that every fresher or one-year-old experienced person, a credit manager, can ask the questions which a 5-year experienced person would ask. So all the questions are there on the screen, customer is answering, and the person is now asking, our credit manager is asking a further follow-up question. Now those follow-up questions are being thrown on the screen by AI. But then again, one more struggle that we faced are the dialects. So if we have, say, 15, 20 languages in India, we have 750 different types of dialects on how those languages are spoken. So AI is again kind of upgrading itself to understand those dialects and giving us, it's not hallucinating, and it's giving us the right follow-up question where the credit manager is asking. Or we are also doing some kind of POCs where we are having an honest conversation, and after that, credit manager is summarizing the entire conversation because they are in a habit of making notes on paper. So all the notes that they've made, they dictate to the generative AI tool, and the AI tells, okay, these are the 3 questions that you've missed. You may want to ask these as well. So once you complete your personal discussion, you get a complete credit assessment of the customer, and of course we read bank statements, we read bureau records, and there is another thing, talking to the neighbors, that AI can't do. So you go to the neighbors and you do a ref check. So this is how the AI is complementing human effort together to get a perfect, accurate underwriting. That is what we are working on. That is what we are also expecting AI to work along with us. That's it.
Varun, on the subject of loan delinquencies or people who are not paying, do you envisage a situation where AI will actually have this full family background and say, this guy has the money, is not paying, so give him a danda, or this person has a genuine problem, so give him a break? Do you think that's going to happen at some point with AI?
Well, with account aggregator, you can check every day the account balance, right? So before hitting the mandate, we create a lien, right? So what happens, before taking out the money from their bank account, we check the account balance now, so that the customer also doesn't face the bouncing charges. So every day using account aggregator, if you have taken the consent from the customer, 3 times in a month you can check their bank statements, and every day you can check their bank balance. So if the money is there, we can take out the money, but again then RBI says that you have to inform the customer 3 days in advance, which if we can't do, since we have a high-touch business and we have field support, the person goes to the customer and says, we know that you have money in your account, so you better pay, else there are ways of doing things. But again, that's what comes at the underwriting stage. If your underwriting policies are quite stringent, so it's a kind of a trade-off. If you have a stringent policy, then collection can be easy. If you have a little easier underwriting, then collection can be tough. So that is a kind of challenge that everyone goes through. So yeah, AI is helping till this point, where it is telling us about the profession, it is telling us about the bank account, and few other things. The rest, everything is done by humans.
Thanks, I think that's very useful. Of course, we can argue both ways, but it's an interesting point of view. So Vijay, you heard in the last session, there were 2 questions on what happens to the youth of tomorrow, etc., etc. And that's, I don't think we can answer the question fully, but Vijay is actually working on answering that question. That how do youth interact through AI with the present, plan their future, etc. So tell us about your company, Vijay.
Thank you, Ganesh, and thank you to Dr. Bhatia also for having us here. And good morning. The primary concept or the topic we're discussing here is the human and the intelligence and what happens in between the two. And Ganesh just brought in the idea of the youth. So I won't spend much time talking about what I'm doing but more about what it means. The venture I have started, in fact, the preview just went live as I was sitting here. It's called lapro.in, lapro.in. It's a preview right now, and it's a work in progress. The idea of LA Pro is it is the individual professional's career mentor. It is your, as an individual professional, your wellness app, your career wellness app. Now, what does this mean? And I'm talking from the individual's point of view and not the HR or the company's point of view. Any individual here, whether we are a CHRO or CEO, at the end we are individuals, whether we are a trainee. And in our career journey, we are lonely because in the end we have to take the decisions. When we come home, we have to face the fact that our boss was toxic or we didn't get promoted or do we take this job offer or that job offer. So all these questions, I'm sure everybody knows, go through our daily life. Some are what I call short-term decisions and some are long-term decisions. And how this product came about was my own experience as a working professional. And a lot of time I spent looking at how exactly do these processes work. And most, if not all, value add to a professional come from the company. But there are hardly any companies, quite a few, but still, considering the population and the size of our country, and I'm restricting ourselves to our country, there are millions of young people who don't have L&D departments and professional HR supporting them. They're on their own. And today we have the gig economy and people who are completely not connected with any formal organizational structure. But they have the same question, how do I move ahead? How do I skill myself? How do I work with people I'm not comfortable with, and so on. So LA Pro is the beginning of a solution to help working professionals in the full arc of their careers. So when I say it's their career wellness app, like wellness, it's not tactical but a long-term issue. It helps you improve both your mind and your skills in terms of being able to sustain a career that you feel is fulfilling and not what your employer feels is fulfilling or what your friend feels is fulfilling or society feels is fulfilling. Obviously, then the question arises, I have to make that connect here because this is related to the HR function also. How am I adding any value to the HR function, right? And the point is very simple. The employee, as Narayan Murthy famously said, continues to work even after working hours, right? So the employee is there. Your stakeholders are there. You can't be relied upon to be the only source of support to them. So what LA Pro will do is not oppose HR or go against the company, but it will help create better rounded employees who are much more capable of working in the organization or working as entrepreneurs also and do a better job and be more productive. That's a short summary of what we're doing. This is not a stack, but actually I'm building a carousel. The next product I'm building is a flywheel, which is a far more ambitious product, which will collect all the intelligences that come from multiple sources and provide decision support systems to organizations to take better HR decisions. The first venture, LA Pro, will feed into the second venture, the flywheel. Now coming back to the larger question here, when I built LA Pro, by the way, the entire AI functionality or the chatbot functionality on our preview is protected by a firewall, so you have to pay to join at the moment. So I apologize if you can't check it out. But the whole function that this product has been designed with guardrails in mind. And the guardrails are, when somebody asks a question, I have a toxic boss, what do I do? I didn't get promoted. A lot of questions actually are negative also. It doesn't just go out into the open world and pull out some stuff and present it to you. I've been working on this for about 7 to 8 years, and I've created, I would say, over 1 million points of data and connects. And I have structured all possible answers for all possible questions, kind of a Pareto principle. Now, it still depends on my judgment, right? You'll say, oh, but it's still your judgment. It's not the best judgment. But one has to trust something somewhere. So I made that, that call to work with other professionals and build a data bank. That data bank is a closed loop. It is inside that walled garden, and the AI does not go out and fetch other considerations. What AI does better, and I used Claude's Anthropic because, Anthropic's Claude because it's much more better at contextual human conversations than any other AI. That's what I have understood. Is it can pick up all these content units that we have and give you a short response. My boss is toxic, how do I deal with him? So it says you can look at A, B, and C, all productive options, and not quit your company and run away. And it'll ask you then to work with a real person, talk to a mentor, a colleague, a friend, and share this experience and come back with your thoughts. So the whole idea is AI should not be used as a immediate decision input, nor should it be used as the last word. It can be used to help you think through options. That's exactly how AI has been used in short, but there's a lot more behind this which will take a lot more time. Now, one important point I wanted to make, and if I may have a minute more, is this is not based on just observation. I grounded this entire project on Herbert Simon's bounded rationality, which in fact was an important part of my own doctoral thesis on business turnaround. Now, if you have heard of Herbert Simon's bounded rationality, he says that human beings are bounded in their decision-making ability. Their rational ability is bounded by three things: lack of time, lack of intelligence, lack of time, lack of information, and lack of cognitive ability. Everybody has a certain deficiency of cognitive ability at a particular point in time. So at any point in time, these three things, time, info, and cognitive ability, bound or constrain your ability to take a good decision. So what you do is you take what is called a satisficing decision, which is the most simplest decision that you can take. It might not be the best or the most appropriate, and you use shortcuts for it. Of course, after that, Kahneman, Tversky, Thaler, and all have done more work, and we all read much of their work. So bounded rationality forms a very strong basis for what has gone into the philosophy of LA Pro and our larger venture, Landward, because it also says that all of human decision-making is bounded, and humans also have an irrational side to them, judgment, values, opinions, which cannot be captured. So when we talk of the artificial general intelligence, that's going to become an important thing. So it's a bit non-linear, the subject here, but I put the human at the center of it rather than outside and put AI at the center of it.
So Vijay, does this mean, I mean, you said you've already researched thousands of questions and it's all there in the site. So is your AI also going to learn from, I mean, as time, people will throw off the wall questions which AI has not learned and maybe it finds its answers. So will it keep refreshing its whole knowledge base?
Yes, please. That's a good question. And that's what the second product in my carousel is, which is the flywheel. So the flywheel, as you know, is a concept where it is used in artificial intelligence as well, where data, experiences, inputs get continuously fed into the AI, and the AI learns from it and keeps producing. So it's a cycle which keeps moving, input-output cycle. So that mine is a bootstrapped venture at the present, and the flywheel is a much larger concept. But when we build it, and it is only ready to be built, I mean, there's nothing else left, it will try to do this. It will catch experiences from first party, second party, and third party data, knowledge, and it will create insights. But those insights will still have to be judged and managed by a human being and not directly implemented. So yes, that is very much the intent.
Great. I mean, at the end, gentlemen, I'm going to ask you to take 30 seconds and say, what is your wish for AI? That 3 years down the line, what should AI be doing for your organization that is not doing now? But we'll come back to that. Questions? I mean, anybody has a question on technology, on their application? Yes, sir, go ahead.
Hi, my name is Sandeep Ghag. So I'm a co-founder of a BPO, and I also work with entry-level professionals working on the mindsets for money. Okay. My question is to Mr. Sampath. One of the things that I found missing is the acceptance that I am in the situation. When you're talking about the professionals dealing with whatever at the workplace, so there is a situation and then there is an acceptance to the situation. How have you leveraged this into your product? Because that's going to be, kind of a deal breaker or a, supportive factor for, professionals. That's my question.
Yeah, I think that's the starting point for most of our situations, that acceptance, the whole grief curve that exists, right? You start from first resisting, then fighting, then accepting, and then carrying on.
Correct.
So in that change curve, yeah, sorry, you were saying?
I was just saying, as leaders, whatever we've gone through, we now are at the position that we can accept, right? But cultivating that culture of acceptance, that was...
So are you talking of acceptance of AI as a, what is the...
Acceptance of the situation as a whole, for, let's say entry-level professionals or, mid-level managers, they are accepting their situation. Because what is happening is people are, just swaying with the flow right now. So,
yeah, okay, got it. So the LA Pro's job is not to define or decide the future of work by itself. It is a situational support system. If you're right now in this situation, is AI going to take over my job? There is tons of stuff on this, okay? And it's not unequivocal. It says it may or may not, but you have to be prepared. So it will ask you to look at the fact that change is constant and you have to keep moving with the change. So to that extent, we have created a lot of stuff which in fact puts change at the center of your life and says, how do you deal with it? So yes, in short, yes, there's a ton of stuff on that. Yeah, so I will be very positive and at the same time cautious. Positive that we are going to go through a period of change, and as Ganesh said earlier, he would be the greatest guy if he can be a soothsayer and say what's happening in the future. And we would be pragmatic enough to say that we should trust human judgment first, and AI should continue to be looked at as a support system and not take over those things that you would do naturally. How you do it is your own intelligence. There is, for the HR community, I would especially draw this point out, that there is a trust gap today that is there between the employer and the employee, because as we said, we can very lightly say 80% of jobs, 90% of jobs are going, right? So how are you going to expect commitment, engagement, reliability from people who don't even know if they're going to be working next year? And therefore, both sides are going to have this problem. Now, AI is not a solution for this, but from one side, I am working on to help people believe that they can do something more than just sit down and worry about their lives. But HR, on the other side, also has to think about it and how it can use AI meaningfully and not just use huge amounts of data and say, oh, we're sacking all these people because the agent said all these people are bad. So you must be able to parse and do it carefully. That's my future vision.
Okay, we have been talking about a lot of technologies earlier. We have been talking about blockchain. People have not talking about it anymore, but yeah, it was an important piece too. And then,
Still there. Bitcoin is there.
yeah, Bitcoin is there, of course. I mean, using blockchain in your day-to-day work, how do you create the parity in the data, and how can you create the uniqueness of each and every datum? So the idea is, how do we process all these technologies together with the use of AI? And augmented reality is coming for sure. And then I would really want AI to combine all these technologies together and make lives easier for us. And of course, efficiency and optimization is definitely required, and there is still a long way to go for India. We still have a lot of real estate left with us, though we are like the second largest in population, but the potential is still there. So if millions of jobs are going, then millions of opportunities are also coming along. So if we focus more on technology and creating new technologies for the world, definitely there would be a lot of things. So if I talk about our business, we would definitely want, as I said earlier, the more accuracy in underwriting, reaching to most of the customers while customers are sitting at their home, and other technologies are helping them making more money, and like by means of more sources of income, I want to say. So if our GDP is increasing, as we all can see, at the highest rate, so if the jobs are getting created, the money is getting generated, and of course, alongside, the entire ecosystem is going to grow. Along with that, our businesses would also grow using such technologies where the drones would be there, or a 360-degree camera would fly into your home, do an underwriting, collect money, a lot of other things of that sort. I mean, the sky is the limit for the imagination, but yeah, I see that coming true in near future.
No, I don't have any blue sky thinking, but I can just tell you from what we're observing and the way we've thought about this. I for one believe that AI is not one of those technology waves that came and went by. This is more civilizational, just the way that it has so far manifested itself. So just taking from that question that was asked earlier about the whole reluctance and the resistance, I think one of the answers probably lies in situational awareness also. And everybody who's involved in any kind of interactions, any kind of business, any kind of employment, literature, academia, etc., I think we need to be situationally aware that AI is going to be there. Now, it is up to us to choose whether we want AI to help us, which is how most pragmatic viewpoint is emerging right now, that AI should help me enhance my abilities. So there are things that AI can do better than what I can, or certainly enough it can do better in the time that's available. It can make use of that time in a much better manner. Whether we hand over our jobs to AI, I think is a far-fetched discussion. Maybe like you said in your presentation that 80% of the entry-level jobs are probably more prone to getting replaced, or at least getting reconfigured in a way that AI would probably be able to do that better. So what are those jobs going to be? What are those roles going to be? How is it that people like us will perform our roles either for the worse or for better? I think the answer is somewhere in the middle, that we will have to find a way of living alongside AI, making use of it in the way that we go about doing our day-to-day stuff. And it is not only to do with our roles, the way we manage our homes, the way we commute, the way we interact with each other. For example, agentic commerce is already there, right? It's not in theory anymore. It is already there. So if those kind of things are there, we already have devices at home, which can certainly enough. The smart homes have been around for a decade now. Autonomous vehicles have been around for at least 5 years now, in production, in being used. So when these kind of things start converging, I think our own psychology will also undergo a change, that yes, we will live alongside machines, we will live alongside artificial intelligence, and then it's up to us whether we want to use it to complement us or allow it to replace us. Because if we are not upgrading ourselves and we are not even allowing ourselves to learn the skill of being able to work with a new kind of a worker, a new kind of an assistant, then there is a chance that somebody else will find a better way of saying that, this guy can actually do it better than you.
No, I think that's a great point. And in fact, we have a saying in the IT industry that the only person who will lose his job to AI is somebody who has decided that he won't work with AI. So, but if you are aware of the capabilities, as Nitin said, are willing to embrace the good and circumvent the bad, I think we have a better step. So thank you very much. I think it was a fantastic opening panel, and I think we threw up a lot of questions. Hopefully, the panel of HR leaders that follows will address some of these in terms of people issues. But thank you very much, and thank you for being a great audience.